So let's talk about fiscally, financially responsible Republicans, shall we? So actually, let's rewind the tape for just a couple of minutes um, and think about this. The last three Republican presidents, okay, have gotten us into a war in the Middle East. Yes, that would be Bush Sr., Bush Jr., and Donald Trump. All three got us in wars in the Middle East. And of course, as we all know, wars cost money. Because you got to pay your military personnel. You got to run the equipment, the boats, the big aircraft carriers. And then there's the expense of ammunition. And apparently, and I'm not entirely sure this is true, but I'm fairly sure that this is true. We have almost exhausted all of our Tomahawk missiles. And from what I understand, those are pretty much American made. But don't quote me on that. So, okay, now we'll talk about the fiscally, financially responsible Republicans. So, I ran this question through Google, and how much money Trump has spent since returning to office. And this total is for 2025, which is $7.01 trillion in 1 year. Okay. And then, of course, this war in Iran. Oh, wait. I skipped something. $7.01 trillion in 2025. Debt continues to grow, with $38 billion that was supposed to have been allocated to immigration and customs enforcement, and $26 billion to border patrol. Okay. And then we have the war in Iran. And just in upfront costs, okay, short-term military expense, we have $29 billion. $29 billion. That's billion with a B. And earlier that was trillion with a T. So, however, we have a long-term military expense estimated by independent economists and lawmakers that are projecting a total cost of between $630 billion to $1 trillion. And now we go to, and by the way, we're spending about $1 billion a day, where we were, in the war in Iran. $1 billion a day. Okay. And then now we pivot to Trump's 80th birthday party. Now he's dressing it all up, saying it's the 250th anniversary of the United States and the signing of the Declaration of Independence. That was my editorial, because I don't even think he knows what the Declaration of Independence is. But um, for his birthday gift to himself of the UFC fight. Um, about $60 million. Yeah, 60 million. That's M, million with an M. And then, of course, then there's approximately 15 million to paint the reflecting pool, which is already growing algae, by the way. And then, if I have my figure right, there's another 15 million to paint statues of horses. The 15 million, paint them in 24 karat gold. I brought this up yesterday. And Republicans are supposed to be the party of fiscal responsibility. Um, no, no, especially with Trump at the helm. With him as president, he thinks that Americans' taxpayer dollars are his own personal piggy bank. That's what he thinks. Plus, we have his grown sons that are getting involved with all these different little investments like drones. And suddenly they're getting government contracts. Really? And they wanted to talk about Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family? No, no. See, I think that the reason why they were bringing these things up about Hunter Biden and the alleged Biden crime family, because they knew what they were going to do when, I can say when now because it's happened, but they knew what they were going to do if and when they won the White House back. And they knew. They knew that they were going to treat American tax dollars as a piggy bank. And they knew they were going to just grift to their heart's content and rob us all blind. You know, because all of the money, like I said, those are our tax dollars. And Trump had the audacity, okay, here real recently, to say that we can't afford child care, that the federal government cannot afford to help people out with child care. There's no money for it. Really? Um, $7 trillion in 2025, and an estimation of 630 billion to $1 trillion for the war in Iran, a war of choice that Trump started. Why? So he could try and pillage their oil. You know, he's using this presidency as not just one gigantic, huge grift, but an attempt at a huge heist. Yeah. And they want to go on and on and on about the Biden crime family and Hunter Biden's laptop from hell. A laptop that the um, repair guy did not have permission to hand over to anyone else because it wasn't his. He was supposed to be fixing it. But no, he got in there, he saw what was in there, and he saw dollar signs. I hope, and I haven't heard anything about this in the news because it's been some time ago, but I really hope that Hunter Biden sued the shit out of that guy for every penny he's worth. That's what I hope. And the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene downloaded some of his nudie photos, being with a woman and him ripping on a crack pipe, she didn't have permission for any of that. She should be sued too, I think. I'm no lawyer, but that was still Hunter Biden's personal property, okay, that nobody had the right to. Nobody. You know, Pretty sure, according to all the polls, the Democrats are going to win the House and more than likely the Senate come the midterms. And there is just so many things that so many people need to be held accountable for. And I'm hoping that Graham Plattner wins his race. I'm hoping that James Tallarico wins his race. All of these progressive people, because that is, in my opinion, what people are really desperate for. Progressive policy being implemented. That's what needs to happen. Now, if that does happen and things start to get better and people's finances start to get better, independent people, okay, remember all of this. All of the people that are registered as independent or unaffiliated, remember this 4 years and remember Trump's first 4 years. Remember Trump's 4 years now and Trump's first 4 years back starting in 2017. You need to remember all of these things. You need to remember that the 119th Congress, and I think that's what this is, the 119th Congress, managed to pass the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that raised your taxes and lowered the taxes of the ultra wealthy. And they managed to get the Epstein Transparency Act passed. One dissenting vote in the House and unanimously passed in the Senate. You need to remember these things. This is an absolute must. Okay. And also, you need to remember that when new laws get passed, it takes time for them to start going into effect. So, independent voters, remember what is happening now. And remember, you need to remember this in 2 years. Okay. Because honestly, we can't afford to have another Republican president. We can't afford to have a Republican majority in the House or the Senate. We can't afford it. So, those of you that vote independent, remember what has happened. Remember the UFC fight. Remember the war in Iran. A war that is a war of choice. But anyway, that was my rant, my opinion, my take, my yada yada. And I'm going to end this video. So, my internet friends, if you could please like and subscribe, comment, I'd appreciate it. And the last thing is, my internet friends, y'all need to take care of yourselves wherever you are.